What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Collective. We have another amazing filmmaking contest for your faces today. We have Philly. Welcome, Philly.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. I'm very excited to talk about the contest you have because it's very unique. But first, you have had over 500 million collective views on your music videos.
Mm-hmm.
You've been featured on BET, MTV. Just let me know a few people who you've worked with. We got to lay down that cred, right?
So, drum roll, please. I'm not usually the name drop guy, but for the sake of the competition, we'll indulge here. I've worked with everyone from T.I., Snoop Dogg, J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar. Just to name a few. I mean, there's a lot of different levels of artistry. I work with independents, I work with majors, pop, R&B, all kinds of variety.
Yeah, so we have a special guest too, Corey, who's going to be involved with this music video challenge. So let's start off giving them the basics of this challenge, what their appetite, and then we're gonna kind of get into your journey, what you've done to get to this point. So first, music video challenge, 60-second music video. Let's get into it.
What we're doing is kind of a bite-sized version of a music video. So, and then for the winner of the competition, they'll get to be involved in the full production of the video. So what's really cool about this is it's giving everybody the opportunity to dabble into the music video industry on kind of a bite-sized level, miniature kind of spectrum, which is nice because sometimes doing a full production is a little bit intimidating. So this way we're going to give people some deliverables. We're going to use some footage that we're going to get from Corey, the artist, that they can either choose to use, or if they're really creative, they can literally go abstract or full storyline or whatever their appetite desires. But what's really nice overall about this competition is I get a lot of requests of people that want to work with me, they want me to mentor them, things like that. A lot of people looking to get into the music video world, and I think that there's a lot of intimidation.
Yeah. And it feels like there's like a wall, right? That's pretty hard to get past. So I think this is kind of a good starting point.
And it's to be honest with you, and for me, it's a Wizard of Oz thing. It's not as intimidating as it looks. And I feel like a lot of people in the music industry try to kind of pump it up to make it seem more than what it really is. Ultimately, at the end of the day, these artists are human. They want the best product. How do you deliver them the best product is at the end of the day, ultimately what they want. So I feel like a lot of the fluff, I guess, for lack of a better term, that people see when it comes to music videos doesn't ultimately affect the actual production. You know, things like having a 100-foot trailer and, 50 assistants on set, making sure everything's going correctly. All that stuff to me has always been kind of more of a distraction than an assistance. So kind of to complement my style and the way I do things, I kind of keep things very lean. And I focus more on the production than I do on all the stuff that the camera doesn't see. Not that we neglect the artist or we keep them in like, some kind of like shack or something like that, but we kind of cut the fat out and focus more on what's gonna make the actual video better. More scenes, better lighting, more time on set, more takes, things like that, that actually, at the end of the day, the budget is going, it adds to it instead of just making sure that everybody's eating steaks and lobsters on set, which does nothing for the music video.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, and I think that's encouraging too for people who want to start. So I've attempted to film music videos in my video career, but keyword is attempted because I feel like there has to be, a special appetite to really not just show the artist singing the words of the song, but really to tell a story or to do, whatever is in your brain. So that's why I'm excited about this challenge. People can use the footage in any way they want. So your Philly's providing footage, but you can really do whatever you want. You were saying they can be abstract. You can use some maybe stock footage that you have the rights to. You can go out in your city and shoot. So I think the flexibility that people have, you have the constraint of 60-second song, so that's your constraint.
Yeah,
but
we're going to cut it down,
right.
Give you a nice, perfect set of 60 seconds, which is basically kind of the standard for short, nowadays.
Yeah.
Everything's
Insta
like,
clip.
Yeah, well, 60
Twitter
seconds.
Clip, yep.
The initial kind of jumping into this, like how you said, you've attempted and things like that. There's a lot of small, like, nuances that are very simple, but there's not a lot of information on how to do these things. So I feel like since people don't have the information, they're obviously going to be a little bit hesitant, or maybe just reserved and say, oh, you know, like, well, you know, and I had to learn all this stuff by stumbling through. So what I try to offer for a lot of people that contact me, and what this competition is basically going to do is, it's going to give people these resources of the, you know, 12 to 15 years it took me stumbling, because I never went to film school. So I had to learn by literally doing things the wrong way. So what it's going to do is it's going to fast track somebody basically of all the stumbling I did. I'm going to pre-package them with the information while we're on set of how to do everything, you know, within budget, do it without having to have a million people on set, and also create, you know, something that has a production level of a way larger budget. So that's one of the things that I bring to the table, and why a lot of people work with me, basically, because we get the best bang for the buck.
Yeah,
I mean, who doesn't want that?
That's what it's about, yeah.
Exactly.
And with the prize, so it's a $5K production budget, but then also a $5,000 cash prize, and also a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K.
Which is not to interject my plug here, but I've been seeing a lot of footage from that thing. It's amazing.
It looks great. And
I didn't have those when I was coming up. We had the camera that was this big.
And that's what you had to go for, but you get really what we're talking about, bang for your buck, in a small package with these cameras nowadays, which is really cool. So what's unique about this contest is there's a lot of involvement after you win. So if you win, you will be on set with Philly shooting a music video, which is very exciting. But
and they're going to be a part of the whole process. We're going to so what we're going to do is we're going to take obviously the 60-second piece and kind of build from that. So we're going to be kind of looking at what people submit, whether it's abstract, whether it's direct, whether it's storyline, whether it's just really cool editing with the footage that we give you. And then taking that, what you bring to the table, going back creatively, back and forth with the winner, and creating that into the full music video. And if it's a storyline, we're going to create the full narrative of it. We're going to create a climax, and then obviously, you know, a conclusion, things like that. If it's abstract, we're going to find a way to keep that abstractness throughout a 3-minute video, and build on that, just to, you know, maintain the viewership. And you know, in 60 seconds compared to 3 minutes, we're obviously going to have to create a lot of new content. So what we can do is, you know, we'll be together obviously on set shooting a variety of different things. So what's nice about it is we get the simple 60-second thing, but what we're going to do is take the idea of the person that wins and just build on that.
Love it.
So we're not going to take your idea and then do whatever we want.
Yeah. We're
just going to literally grow your idea and then show you how to execute it on set.
Which is awesome. It's very collaborative, and honestly, that's what Collective is about. It's kind of learning how to have more tools in the toolbox, and that's what's so cool. All these contests are so different. So yeah, it's very fun. We're focused on music videos, but let's dive a little bit into your journey on how you got here. You mentioned you didn't go to film school. You know, it's been over 10 years, kind of just like stumbling, getting your grounds. I love talking to people who haven't gone to film school, because neither did I. Sometimes you have to be scrappy, right?
Scrappy, I like that word.
When you don't go to film school.
A little scrapster.
A little scrapster. So what was your first camera? How did you get into this? When did it start?
So, I mean, there's 200 years ago, actually, when I was
back
young.
in the Ice Age.
Exactly. No, so when I was around, and I don't even mean to date myself here, but we didn't have social media when I started.
Hold on, don't date. You're like what, mid-20s?
No, I'm 36 years old.
Oh, okay.
So I know I look like I mean aloe vera lotion, you know. So when I was around, I didn't have social media.
Yeah.
The availability of DSLRs, which we have 3 amazing ones looking at us right now, this was not available. Very limited, and the only people that were in production had money. So like you were rich if you had a camera, basically, and I was not rich. A lot of my friends did music, and of course content has always been big. How you create the content back when I was starting was not as easy as it is today, but I had to be ultra scrappy and kind of utilize the people I know and the networks that I had. So I had a friend whose father was in news and films for news channels, and they literally let him rent one of the news cameras, and that's what we shot our first music video with a news camera.
Wow.
And I did it purely not because I wanted to more or less be in film, but out of necessity. Now I've been in art, I've done photography, I've done graphic design, and I've dabbled in video back in the day, but more, just kind of having fun with it. It was never like I want to be a video, I want to be in video, I want to be in film. I never had that mindset. So
it's usually how it starts, right? For the people who are doing it, it doesn't start from the mindset of, I need to make money, so I'm going to do this. It starts from like, oh, this is fun, and then it turns into a hunger, right?
Well, and I mean, for me, it's never been about the money.
Yeah.
I've always looked at it as something that I just enjoy doing. And for me, money doesn't really revolve my life. I do things because ultimately at the end of the day, I always look at it, if you strip all the money away, who are you? You know, and a lot of people, if they base their whole, you know, who they are on money, when they strip it away, there's nothing really to offer. So for me, I've always based on, you know, who I am as what I do. And what I do is, you know, production and art and things like that. There's just a passion there for it. I would do it for free. I've done it for free for a really long time, not anymore, but you know, that's how you really know what you love to do in my book. If you're willing to do it for free and you've done it for free to get to where you're at, you probably love it.
Yeah.
So what really how after things, basically the first production that I did went really good, but the attention was really what drove me. So, you know, I'm very self-aware. I kind of know, like I can see things and kind of I have a good eye of like how the market's changing and just, you know, things like that. So when we did that first production, the attention we got from it was like nothing we had ever experienced. So
where did you post it?
So at
email?
YouTube.
Send in links to email? Okay.
YouTube is there. There's a couple other small video hosting sites that are no longer available. But YouTube was there. YouTube was not what it is today. It was still kind of like it was weird to watch stuff on your computer compared to your TV at this point. So it was hard to drive people to view it there. But ultimately that was where it was living. And then having a production back then was such a rarity. So we were like the one of one. Where nowadays it's like you're the one of the hour kind of thing. So just by being so exclusive and having something that nobody else had, we got a lot of attention. And then the attention immediately pulled away from the artists we were shooting with to who did this? Because no one's able to do this right now. Like, wow, how was this guy able?
What was it that stood out?
I mean, ultimately we went through it. We did a real treatment. We had locations. I mean, I went all out. I don't do things, you know, half rate. If I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it all the way, or I'm not gonna do it at all. So we scouted locations, and at this time I didn't know what a producer was. I didn't know what a lighting person was. I just thought I thought the director was the lighting guy, the everything. Yeah. I thought he was everything. Now, you know, as I moved on, I was like, oh, there's a guy for that. So I was doing everything. So produced it. I was the lighting guy. I mean, literally in between takes, you know, I'm over there adjusting lighting. Then I pick the camera up. I'm shooting camera. I'm directing. I'm doing everything. But it was just, you know, and overall, people were just excited about the quality, the locations. It definitely didn't look thrown together. And for the time, it just looked very well produced. You know, I mean, now I look back on it and it's cringy because the quality of it is just horrendous. But in the moment, at that time, we were using good stuff. Yeah. So.
What does that mean? Was that like 720 and that was good? Like 720p? Is that?
No, we were 1080 at that point. We were 1080, but we were on what's called mini DV tapes, which is basically, you know, it's a small tape. Yeah. And nowadays, obviously everything's digital. You just drag and drop your footage onto a folder. We had to literally put it in the camera, plug the camera into the computer, and then it would record from the camera into the computer. Wow. It was ridiculous. Wow. I cried the day that digital became a thing because I dragged and dropped it and a tear came from my eye.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And with that, with the technology, like you said, there's, of course, more people getting into it, right? It has become more accessible, which is so amazing because that means these gatekeepers that have kind of held the gate for filmmaking, now it's kind of like anyone and everyone can get into it. But with that, there has to be more things that you do to stand out. And so what has kind of been that shift from 10 years ago to now? Are you doing things differently, or what do you focus on now to really stand out?
So what I bring to the table is basically a very high level of production at a very minimal skeleton. So I've maintained being kind of the jack of all trades. And as the music industry, the film industry has become basically easier, and the music industry has come down budget-wise. I mean, $100,000 budgets are almost never heard of anymore on music videos, where before, $1 million budgets were like the standard.
Exactly, yeah.
But obviously with streaming and with different kinds of things.
It's not the MTV days anymore.
It's not the MTV days anymore. So I was kind of the first wave of the film person that wasn't charging that much, but was able to obtain the level of production and still make money. A lot of directors got phased out when the industry started lowering their budgets because they weren't making as much money. A lot of directors got phased out because they were so conditioned to having unlimited budgets, basically. And they're
probably not used to doing all of those things
at all,
like,
you know,
how do I turn on this light? Yeah.
And it's no disrespect to those guys, but it was just basically one of those situations where technology and the times changing just phased a lot of people out. And that's fine. I mean, that happens in almost every industry. Luckily, I, again, saw that coming and realized there was going to be an opportunity for the small guy. So this is like around MySpace, Facebook starting to come out. Like now social media is out. I was contacting people the old school way, like calling people and sending in letters and doing stuff like that. And then once social media came out, it's crazy, I know. It's a weird thing. You put a stamp on it, you put it in a box, and someone gets it 3 days later. Cool. So I literally, that's the original DM. So when I saw social media, I immediately recognized it as I can contact these people directly now, and they can see who I am. So it's not like there's the screening process basically is right there for them. So when that happened, it literally expanded me to the next level because I was able to contact artists all over the United States, all over the world really, and get in contact with them, show them my work immediately so they could see what I was about, and then basically be able to do business with people one-on-one.
And it's good that you saw that as an opportunity, not
100%.
as, oh, dang it, the good old times are gone, right? Because I think a lot of people can get stuck in the trap of, well, this is how it's always been, so it needs to stay that way. But with filmmaking and technology, everything is progressing so fast. If you can keep up with trends, you know, but keep your style, keep what's important to you, I think there's a lot of value with being able to utilize Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, linking up with artists via Instagram DMs.
It's an amazing thing. I mean, it's really, and like you mentioned earlier, how a lot of people have flooded into the industry, and a lot of people kind of get frustrated by that. Oh, there's so much competition, there's so many people, there's so many things going on. So the good about that, for me, is that when there's a plethora of people doing something, when you're really good, it might take a little longer for you to get noticed, but when you get noticed, people hold you like a little diamond, because they're like, there's so much average out there. When they find the good, they hold it tight and they value you. It takes a little while to get that sometimes, and a lot of people get frustrated with that, but just trust me, you know, now is the best time ever to be in filmmaking. The accessibility, the quality level of cameras, and just the ability to be able to create content, you know, with somebody on a direct level. You don't have to go through management or a record label anymore. I mean, you can literally talk right to the artist and get, and the good thing about that too is you get the best product like that.
Right.
When there's three people in between you and the
artist. The
artist.
middleman is always what kills it.
It's the telephone game. You say one thing, they say another, and then by the time it gets to the artist and he shows up on set, and you're like, hey, did you bring the black jacket that I told you to bring for this specific shot? And he's like, I never heard about a black jacket.
Yeah,
and then you lose the creativeness. So it's nice because that direct, you cut out all the telephone game.
Yeah. So what would be some words of encouragement for people out there who they love music, they love video, but maybe there's just some missing pieces, maybe where they're living, they're like, oh, there's no artists here. You know, I need to be in New York or LA. I need this to start. I need that to start. What are some words of encouragement for people to just start?
Well, I shot with everybody and anybody, and I live in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and which is not near Hollywood. If you're not familiar with where Milwaukee is, it's right above Chicago. So Chicago was the only big market that was close to us. But I was not in Hollywood. I was not in New York, Miami, Houston, anything like that. And I just literally found the artists that were in the city. There's always, trust me, there's always artists. There's always artists, especially in today's market. There's a singer, there's a rapper, there's, somebody doing music. And the good thing about it is the work that I got, when I started getting bigger artists, they were seeing work I was doing with independent artists. They don't necessarily care who you're shooting with, they just want to see the product. So when they saw the product with independent artists, the independent artists, we got on bigger platforms, different sites that got more attention. And when it got the more attention, the bigger artists started reaching out to me and saying, hey, who are you? Can we shoot together? Things like that. So if me, the non-social media kid from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, about a bazillion miles away from Hollywood, can shoot with all the people that I've done, it's patience, it's focus, and just understanding that if you don't love doing this, stop. I know that sounds very harsh, because
we need some of that.
It needs to be, if you don't love this, it's just like anything. There's gonna be a window of time where it's gonna be rough. You're gonna be broke. You're not gonna be making money. You're not gonna be getting paid what you think you're gonna be getting paid. And there'll be a breaking point where you either say this is enough, or you keep going, and then you will succeed. But it's a matter of finding a way to create that content under any means. Okay. And if you can't do that in today's market with social media and the accessibility of things, this might not be the industry for you, because the way I look at it is it's there on a silver platter for you.
Exactly.
You might not see it like that. I see it like that. And there's other guys that see it like that, and you can tell by that, because because
they're sprinting. They're just taking it and going. Yeah.
Everybody that lives in any city knows there's a couple guys that are doing video, and they might just be on the local level right now, but the local level guys eventually get to be the nationwide guys, the international guys, the huge directors. I mean, you have to start from somewhere. Yeah. Just be patient, stay focused, find a way to create that content, because it's all about what you're creating when it comes to this. They don't care what school you went to. People don't care who you know. They don't care what camera you have. They just want to see the product. If the product's hot, you're hot. That's basically it.
That's good. And I feel like it's kind of synonymous with the skate world. So I know more about it than I should. There's a skate filmer and there's a skater. And there's usually like the perfect match out there for you no matter what. And so I think
100%.
with musicians too, there's so many people who want to make it as a musician, and they need that music video, but they don't know, where to turn to. So I think especially in the beginning, if you're in high school, if you're in college, just reach out. And, we touched on working for free, which is actually has turned into this controversial.
Free. It's not free.
Value. You're providing value,
let me,
right?
Let me. I'm gonna put this. I'm gonna put this in. I'm gonna lay this out for you.
Yeah.
You're not doing it for free. This is called complimentary work. Yeah. Make sure you have that fully understood when you deal with an artist, that this is a complimentary thing that I'm doing for you in order for us to grow our networks together. And then in exchange, once you start making money, I need to be compensated. I'm not doing this for free. Don't use the free word, because then you're always the free guy.
Right.
Don't be free.
Right.
This is a trade-off. Make sure that's fully understood from the beginning. If you're in that position, I get a lot of artists and a lot of people that contact me and say the word free. I'll work for you for free. I'll work for you for free. And I say, don't tell me the word free. Don't tell anyone the word free. It's complimentary. This is a trade-off. I'll work with you for 6 months, put a timestamp on it, 3 weeks. I'll do 2 music videos, whatever it is. But it's complimentary, and this is a trade-off. It's a partnership. Yep. We're not doing this. This isn't a free handout. This isn't for the rest of your life. You get free content from me.
Oh, no.
Yes.
No, yeah.
This is a way for us to grow and expand as a team.
Exactly.
Because we both have something that each other needs. You're the artist. You're the video guy.
It's all about value, yeah. With every industry, it's kind of different. But with video and, say you want to do wedding films or something like that, if you don't have a wedding film to show anyone, you're not going to get those jobs, right?
Definitely.
So with video and taking clients, it's kind of like sometimes you can't expect those people who you do give the deals or whatever you call it for them to be paying clients down the road, but there's so much work truly out there to where if you can get those initial clients and strike up a deal, maybe it's like if you're talking about wedding films, it's like your sister, your brother getting married, so they can't disown you, they can't get mad at you.
She's a scrappy one.
Yeah, I'm a scrappy one. So that's what I did in the beginning, because then I had a portfolio from just a couple months working for free, and then boom, I was getting paid jobs, right? Complimentary.
She's complimentary.
Yeah, so it was a few months of hustling, and then each job got more. It was like, okay, a $300 job for an event recap. Like, it's not that much. I'm doing everything, but you know what? It's another thing in my portfolio.
And you reinvested, didn't you?
Reinvest it in gear. Yeah.
Reinvest it in yourself.
Yeah.
You have to. That's the thing. Like when you first started getting those jobs, and it might seem like a minimal amount of money, but that little bit of $100 or $200 should be getting you maybe new lav mics, or maybe a different lens, or maybe even a flash if you're doing photography and things like that, because that's what's going to overall add value to you and your product. And again, if your product looks better, you get paid more.
And I love what you said actually in one of your Instagram posts. You said in the beginning, it really helps to have a job because you can reinvest it in yourself and gear. And, I think being a DP or being a director, you can stand out now with being the RE person, being the red person, having these gear that you can offer to these productions. Now, are you a red shooter? I think you're a red shooter, right?
I have a red, and I actually just bought an Alexa Mini.
Congratulations!
After 12 years
of
hard sweat and tears and blood.
That's amazing.
I got an Alexa Mini, but I've been a red guy forever. I still use red. I use both, actually. I've used a lot of different cameras. I've always owned a camera because that kind of is in tune with what I do. I'm the guy that's able to do stuff at a moment's notice, or I can do it 6 months out. Yeah. So having the camera gives me that freedom to be able to just move on a moment's notice. And in the music industry, that happens a lot. I mean, in your industry as well. I mean, this interview alone was supposed to be 3 days from now, and we did it today instead. So, the fact that we're able to move like that opens up opportunities. And I've always, again, saw owning a camera as that kind of opportunity. I knew if I owned it, I would be able to utilize being able to move quick as a selling option too. Because a lot of these artists, they're on tour, they're busy, they're doing this and that, and they give you such a small window of time to do things. And if you have to go rent gear and set up this and do this and do the quicker you can move and accommodate their schedules, you'll get hired back. Yeah. Just because obviously the production level is there and the video looks great, but when it comes down to it, you being able to move fast and accommodate their schedules is like literally like the golden ticket.
Yeah. Ooh, that's good. That's a good way to set yourself apart.
Accommodation. So just have the necessities of what you need. If you need to do something last minute, you don't need to go rent lights. You don't have a full lighting set maybe, but maybe you have a couple LEDs just in case, or just the necessities that if you have to do a pickup shot, you can do it right then and there.
Right.
Yeah, it makes you the go-to guy, trust me. That's a huge, huge key to winning the overall, game and entertainment, is being the guy that they can call, and then 30 minutes and you throw the Superman jacket on and fly out the window.
I love it. So wrapping things up before we chat more about the contest, just a few more comments maybe on the music industry as a whole and how that's affecting video. Like you said, you found that as an opportunity, right? What is your relationship with artists? Has it changed as the industry has changed? So you have these big names, but also you're working with artists on the come up, So how is your relationship with artists?
So the uniqueness about where I'm at is I'm able to deal with high-level artists on a one-on-one level. I've always kind of eliminated the management and label kind of deal and always networked directly with the artist, which is tough to do. An artist by the name of Trey the Truth is one of the first artists that we really kind of, I guess you could say, bonded. And then he kind of exposed me to a lot of other artists that he had relationships with, and kind of by association, I was able to create relationships with them. And then just through my own work, I've had my own relationships. So all these relationships built together, the one thing that we have in common is I can call them directly. And on a creative level, there's nothing better than being able to talk to the person. Because,
straight to the source,
because they create the music and they have a vision and they have an idea of how things should go. And sometimes the label or the manager has an agenda, not in a negative fashion, but they have a look that they want. They have an idea that they want. So they get involved in the creative, and they can really block a lot of the stuff that either I want to bring to the table or the artist wants to bring to the table. So by having that direct connection, you literally get such a pure and exact product for the record, because the record is an expression of the artist. So who better to tell you what they want to express than the artists themselves? So by having that direct contact, cutting out the middleman, being able to talk to them one-on-one, has literally made me, again, another asset to them, because they don't have to worry about dealing with my management or 5 people on my team. They talk to me directly. We get exactly what we want. When we get on set, it's way more fluid because we already know what's going on. I know what he wants. He knows what I want. She knows what I want. Vice versa, and it just makes everything more fluid. The creativity doesn't get any kind of damper put on it by other people trying to interject, and you just create a great product. So the relationships have always, for me, been a one-on-one thing, and people always ask me that, like, well, how do you deal with labels? I really don't. Yeah. I've been fortunate enough to cut that middleman out, and I deal with labels secondary. Basically, we talk to the artist first, and then we go to the label for the logistics, and that's it.
Yeah, that's amazing. So speaking of artists, we're gonna bring in Corey right now. Corey, come on out.
Hey,
Corey.
There he is. Come on in, buddy.
What's up, buddies?
So Corey is a part of this project as well. He is the artist. So the 60-second song that they're gonna get is your song.
It
right?
is.
And so,
yes.
Corey, tell me a little bit about your music, where you're from, what you do, and then we'll dive into the contest a little bit more.
So I am a hip-hop artist from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We kind of dabble in the pop, rap, top 40 genre. And I've been making music for about 7 years.
Okay, very cool, very cool.
He has a little Hawaiian influence too.
Yeah, I'm part Hawaiian.
Love it. I love
can
the
tell by the
pineapple tattoo.
Polynesian ink.
You can tell by the ink.
Yeah, and so tell me a little bit about the song that they're going to be getting as an asset to make this 60-second music video for.
Yeah, so the song is called M.I.A. And I wrote this song with my one of my writers that I do a lot of work with, B. Scott. And it was kind of just about, like, there's a lot of distractions in the world right now and negative energy and just, things of that nature. And this was kind of just being able to get past all that and still succeed and stay focused. And that was kind of the general concept when we made this.
Yeah.
So M.I.A. like missing in action, not Miami.
Basically out of the mix.
Yeah.
Separating myself from, any sort of negative, negativities and just, staying focused and doing what we got to do.
Yeah. So people can obviously run with this and do whatever they want, but Philly, from your perspective, maybe we can kind of talk through maybe some of the ways that you would approach this and, maybe some of the themes from Corey. How would you approach this video?
So for me, I feel like there's two ways you can go about this in my book, just from hearing the record, seeing Corey, things like that, putting together the pieces. You can basically, I feel, it can be very storyline driven. You can go that route for sure because of the what Corey's actually talking about is specific to what a lot of people deal with. Daily life distractions, and it could be anything. It could be your parents, it could be your job, it could be just bad luck, things like that.
Your phone.
Exactly. Things that distract you from what you're trying to do in life. And how do you separate yourself from those things and obviously create a path for yourself. So it could be very storyline driven. It could be very performance based driven, and there's going to be footage of Corey obviously performing the song too. You could utilize that very heavily because the song has it's like a mid to up tempo. So you could really go creatively with the cuts and how you're editing it and the B shots of different things that kind of represent what he's talking about too. So and then you could go totally abstract and give them something that has nothing to do with what the lyrics are saying, but captures the vibe of the record, which people are like, well, what do you mean if the lyrics and the vibe and there's definitely, if you just basically close your eyes and listen to a record, there's an ambiance, there's a feeling that you get from records that obviously is portrayed in the lyrics too, but there's something that's a little bit of a higher level, and it's like the vibe and the essence of the record. And that's like, some of the top level creatives. I
think those treatments are the best, actually, sometimes.
They are, because it's not, a lot of the consumers come in and they listen directly to the lyrics, so they expect what the lyrics are saying to be what the video is. Some of the greatest videos that have ever been shot have literally been something that, whoa.
Yeah, less predictable,
that's,
right?
That's
yeah.
way different.
And that's one thing that he's helped me, actually, because when I first kind of started getting into this, I was very literal. Like, if I say I'm coming to the club, I'm like, Philly, we got to have 20 people with me when we're pulling up to the club. And he kind of helped me open up my, my mind and just give the people things that aren't so predictable, because then they watch it one time, it's exactly what they want, and then they don't need to watch it again because they already know, like, oh, I know what the rest of this video is going to be like.
Yeah, I've been able to work with Corey on multiple different videos, different varieties of things, and it's that's another thing that really, like you said, relationship with artists. When you work with them multiple times, you really start detailing things that you can't get from a first-time video. So it's nice that when I have artists that are repeat customers, because by the third and fourth video, we're creating stuff that's so specific and unique to them, because now I have a relationship with them. I'm not talking to their manager every day, I'm talking to them every day. So now I actually know them, I know their family, I know their kids, I know what they like to do, I know the little words they use and certain things like that, the nuances that when you can add that into a video is really where you create something special. Right. So, I mean, the abstract stuff is amazing. The performance stuff can be mixed with abstract stuff. So I feel like, you know, with the record being kind of elusive, it's specific and elusive at the same time, because it's you know, it's something that everybody deals with, but it's something that everybody deals with differently. Mm-hmm. Everybody's you know, trying to avoid negativity and bad things in their life. That could mean 100 different things. So how you interpret that in your video is really should be specific to you. I think you should use life lessons of things that you've gone through, or someone you know has gone through, and that, you know, you can base it on. Every good story is something that's more than likely has happened in real life.
Right.
So feel free to use those, pull from that.
We want to see what, like, if you close your eyes and you listen to this record, we want to see what you picture, not what you think we want the music video to be.
Yep.
And there's so many creative people out there in the world that come up with things that you could
never
even think of. So yeah, we're excited.
We want to see your story, basically. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm looking for. I don't want you to do something that you think we would like. That's the perfect way to put it, Corey. I think you're doing this not because we're trying to appease us by doing something you think we like. It's something that we won't even expect.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking for.
Yeah, so feel free to mix it up with the different moods. If your thing is humor, even, you know, maybe the track doesn't scream that, but maybe you can work it in some way, you know?
Always.
And it could be dramatic, can be humorous, anything. And in terms of logistics, when you guys, of course, you have a conversation of what are you feeling, you know, what does this look like? Do you type up every single shot? What are your steps that you take before shooting a music video? So if people are new out there, they don't know, you know, the steps to take. It's like, okay, you figure out the mood, and then do you write everything out? You find locations? What are the steps you take?
So there's a couple different ways to do it, but just like a general way of doing it, you obviously write a treatment. A treatment's more of a general synopsis of what you're trying to go for. And then based off that treatment, you start finding locations, extras, props, things like that. And through that process is when more creativeness can actually kind of spill out on the table, because you'll find a location that's not what you were looking for, but that's better than what you were imagining and has things inside the location that you can utilize, and all of a sudden the treatment starts blending and molding into different things. I mean, there's been many a times where we've had something set beforehand and we get there on location and there's something that's different than what we expected.
Or goes wrong. And that's one of the main reasons why I like working with him so much, is because I feel like his ability to adapt in situations, like when you show up and it's not what you're expecting, or when, you know, some of, you know, the people on set, the models or the props or the locations fall through, and you have to try to pivot and still come up with something great. And that's what he does best.
Because the director is essentially a problem solver, right?
That's all. You're just putting out fires.
Exactly.
Just dumping the water on the fire.
Exactly. Yeah, cameras, lights, all those things, but also solving every single problem that happens. And no pressure.
And what's nice about it too is, like, since obviously, like I said, I've worked with Corey before. When things do go wrong, he knows I'm gonna make sure it's okay. So it puts a little bit of ease on him as well, because the artist obviously wants the best product. So if we have something planned and then it changes, a lot of artists will panic.
Yeah.
And when they panic, it portrays on camera. The overall product can be affected by that.
So the energy on set too even can change, take a shift.
Yep. So I think the biggest thing about it is again, coming back to having a relationship with the artist and them working with me multiple times has created just a great environment that if something does go wrong, they literally, Philly's got it. Yeah. It's gonna be okay. He's done this a million times.
You can trust this
guy.
Is
that true?
Yeah. No, definitely true.
I'm trustworthy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Vote for me.
That's amazing. So when prepping for this shoot, you know, filming, editing, making the treatment before, I think people might want to keep in mind what you're looking for. So there's criteria for all of these collective contests. So what should people be looking out for?
So on the creative level, do whatever you want. Yeah. But from me judging perspective, I'm going to be looking for basically a couple different key elements. Obviously, the editing is huge in music videos because obviously there's a song, there's a tempo, there's a pace, things like that. The color grade too is a little bit different because the color grade does, you know, the way you color grade a music video can dictate the style of the video. You know, from anything from bright, huge, poppy, oversaturated colors to very flat, dull, monotone stuff. It can literally, same shot, 2 different videos. So that's one. Shot selection and overall composition, how the shots complement each other. Does shot A to B, does that blend well, things like that. And then just your overall, obviously, the flow and pacing of it as well. So kind of those things kind of wrapped up into one are what really make a music video. The flow, your composition, your color grade can really dictate what your final product looks like. So I think that's what I usually grade a music video on when I see someone else's work outside of mine. So that's what we're gonna do here.
Heck yeah, love it. For maybe artists that are involved, what are some experiences that you've had through music videos where you can share maybe, oh, I really like this aspect, this was cool, what maybe the director did or maybe what you did, and maybe what are things now that like, oh, I don't like how that was edited or it didn't fit the flow. You know, what are just some of your opinions since you've been doing this for a minute?
I think the more I get into this, I just like things that are outside the box. I think, especially with the way the internet is right now, like people want to see some fresh, new, interesting things that they wouldn't even have thought themselves. Because like we had touched before, otherwise it's just kind of like the same recycled like ideas. And then after you watch a minute of it, you already know what the rest of the video is going to be. And you know, that's why I like working
Corey's
with him.
actually an editor.
Yeah, I do.
Oh,
Fun fact.
okay.
Yeah, I don't know if we should get into that.
Yes.
We should definitely get into that.
Well, how does that impact the overall
why did you
production?
start editing? Explain why you started.
All right, let's,
For the artists at home, you asked about what he likes and dislikes.
Yeah.
This leads into why he started editing.
you know, I'm very particular on how I like my face and my hand movements and you know, how I look on camera. And so a lot of times, you know, even though he's an amazing director and editor, he would send me a draft and I'm like, this is great, but ooh, I don't like how I look here, or I don't like this, or you know, whatever. So I've kind of learned to just take over the rough edits on my music videos and save him a lot of work too, because he's obviously a busy guy. So I'm able to kind of save him a little bit of the time of putting the rough skeleton together, and then he'll go through and sauce everything up and color correct and put the flares and the titles, add the little sauce. And it's became a nice little workflow that we have.
I become what we call the saucer and seasoner.
Yeah, the saucer.
You know
Saucer
what I'm
and
saying?
seasoner.
Season it up,
Yeah.
sauce it up, and then we put it in the oven.
And
That
obviously
is
just as
the
an
exact
artist,
formula
That is
that
actually
you need. So you don't need anything else. The sauce and seasoning.
Sauce and seasoning. That's actually a film school term. There's a class called sauce and seasoning. It's pretty intense. You know, it's 36 college credits of saucing and seasoning. So
Wow.
be ready for that if you go to film school.
Exactly. Well, I think sauce and seasoning is a great point.
It's amazing.
To conclude this convo, make sure to go to collective.LaCie.com to sign up, get these assets, get the 60-second song from Corey, and also you're going to be providing some footage for them to work into your edit. So I'm so excited, me personally, to see all of these submissions, and then you will be personally judging these submissions. So no pressure, guys. But remember, here at Collective, it's all about having fun, sharpening the tools in the filmmaking toolbox, but also there's really cool prizes at stake. So just for a reminder, $5K for the budget,
Got it.
$5K cash prize,
Woo.
a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, 4K. And then, of course, the bragging rights, right?
Oh, we're going to brag big time, big baby. We're going to go
Exactly.
crazy with the bragging.
Exactly.
So be scrappy.
Be scrappy, be collaborative, because that was so cool to hear about you. I mean, really, if someone is a filmer, maybe they can help with editing. Like, team up with someone, maybe.
Don't be scared.
Don't be scared, right?
Don't be scared.
and just have fun.
Jump in. There you go.
Exactly.
Yeah, have fun.
I love it. Awesome. Guys, go to collective.LaCie.com. We can't wait to see what you come up with. Bye, guys.